It always feels good when you are appreciated. SLT non-stop broadband. Free loyalty data added as you stay connected.
Tonight, help thy neighbour. India pledges $50 million to Sri Lanka for the purchase of military equipment. Gap in legislation. Activist sees a failing in characterising human rights as privacy is left out.
All these suggest that it is very urgent that we recognize the right to privacy of citizens and then legislate.
Clandestine witness. An ex-disciple of Easter attack ringleader Zahran Hashim gives evidence before the Presidential Commission. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Saturday the 18th of January 2020.
මේ සීන් එකෙන් කට් වෙන්න ඇන්ටිජර් මවුත්වොෂ් සමගින් එන ක්ලෝස් අප් ජෙල් එක ස්ටෝරි එක ස්ටාර්ට් කරන්න.
Hi.
Hi.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Kanaka. Let's start with your local stories. Now, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this morning at the President's office, where bilateral discussions on several sectors were worked off. During the talks, India had pledged $50 million to Sri Lanka towards the purchase of military equipment. In the meantime, United Nations Resident Coordinator Hannah Singer also called on the President yesterday at the Presidential Secretariat.
India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this morning at the President's office. Bilateral discussions on several sectors were held during the meeting, with cooperation in strengthening security between the two countries, along with maritime security and Coast Guard cooperation also discussed. The President's media division said that it was agreed by India to assist Sri Lanka in intelligence gathering technology. In addition, India has also agreed to provide $50 million for Sri Lanka to purchase military equipment. During discussions held between UN Resident Coordinator Hannah Singer and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the Sri Lankan head of state had brought Singer up to speed on his plans to open up 100,000 jobs to the poorest of the poor as an immediate remedial action to his chief concern, poverty alleviation. While pinning education as his other area of concern, the President had stressed on steps taken to introduce skill-based subjects from grade 7 onwards, with those who do not gain entrance for university being encouraged to follow vocational or technical courses. The head of state had said that currently the advanced level science paper is deliberately designed to fail students, and that will be changed to allow more students to pass in science subjects and to direct them to technical colleges. To this, the UN Resident Coordinator had promised to connect the relevant UN agencies to help the government in this regard, and especially in technology transfer. On the issue of missing persons, the President had explained that these missing persons are actually dead, with most of them taken by the LTTE or forcefully conscripted. He added that the families of the missing attest to it, however they do not know what has become to them and so claim them to be missing. The President said that steps would be taken to issue a death certificate to these missing persons following necessary investigations, with their families being given the support they need to continue with their lives. He also stressed that Tamil politicians would reject this solution, as that would nullify their political agenda despite the move's potential to help the affected families.
Man under heavy security with his face concealed gave evidence today before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday attacks. Without confirming the identity, he uncovered a number of moves of Easter attack ringleader Zahran Hashim. Among the information divulged was Zahran's killing of informants, just as done by terrorist group the Islamic State. Identifying himself as a resident of Marmanella, the witness said that Zahran Hashim, he linked up with Zahran Hashim after the riots which took place in Digana.
An individual identifying himself as the national organizer of the Student Working Committee of the organization Jamaat-e-Islami appeared before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Easter Sunday terror attacks today. The commission refused to reveal the identity of the individual who arrived at the premises under heavy security. The witness gave evidence via video technology from a separate chamber. He identified himself as a resident of Mavanalla and had joined Easter attacks ringleader Zahran Hashim following the riots which took place in Derana. The witness said that he first came across a video, a lecture delivered by Zahran on social media platform WhatsApp, and later obtained details on him via social media. When a video was played to the witness by members of the commission, he confirmed it to be the video which he first came across of Zahran's. The witness also divulged that when he met Zahran in person, Zahran told him that he had links with the terror group ISIS. The witness also said that he was in attendance at a lecture conducted by Zahran Hashim in the month of June in 2018, where T-56 firearms were distributed among the attendees. When a member of the commission asked the witness to reveal the contents of Zahran's lecture, the witness said that the topic of Buddhist extremism and the conduct of the organization Bodu Bala Sena were touched upon. He added that Zahran told him that he backed the election campaign of former President Maithripala Sirisena back in 2015. According to the witness, Zahran had threatened to kill attendees of the lecture conducted in Hambantota if information is leaked to a third party similar to that of terror group ISIS. He also mentioned that a group of between 150 to 200 might possibly have attended his lectures. According to the witness, Zahran had shot dead the person who revealed information which led to the discovery of arms from Vanathavilluva. He said that following the discovery of arms in Vanathavilluva, Zahran's stance changed and started pursuing suicide bombing. The witness was seen leaving the premises after providing a statement which lasted for over 8 hours.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka requests the members of the legal profession to refrain from making any statements relating to pending or concluded cases or individual judges. It comes at a time when numerous telephone conversation recordings between UNP MP Ranjan Ramanaik and high-profile figures in society, including members of the judiciary, have come to light. Issuing a statement, the BASL, however, adds that individual incidents cannot be permitted to be used to attack the entire judiciary either.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka says that in relation to the recent media furore concerning the judiciary, its attention has been invited to several statements made by members of the legal profession on certain issues pertaining to the judiciary, with references made regarding pending cases, concluded cases, and to names of certain individual judges. Releasing a statement, the BASL went on to say that it is mindful of the need to protect the rule of law and also the role that the BASL is required to play regarding the independence of the judiciary. It added, quote, "We are also mindful of the fact that individual incidents cannot be permitted to be used to attack the entire judiciary," unquote. The BASL also noted that they have brought to the notice of the Chief Justice and the members of the Judicial Services Commission the importance of acting swiftly and the need to make decisions on an urgent basis to address the issues that have been highlighted. The statement inked by BASL President Kalinga Indathissa said, quote, "We are confident that His Lordship the Chief Justice and the JSC will take appropriate steps regarding the individual judicial officers in accordance with the process identified by law and the constitutional provisions," unquote. The statement also said that it is also important that the members of the legal profession are cautious in making public statements and requested the members of the profession to refrain from making any statements relating to any pending or concluded cases or individual judges.
In a backdrop where influential figures in the country are allegedly involved in an ongoing telephone recording controversy, social activist Nalaka Gunawardena called for urgent laws in Sri Lanka recognising privacy as a fundamental right of every citizen. Speaking to Indivari Amuwatha on our current affairs programme at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24, Gunawardena deemed the act of recording to be unethical but not illegal in the country's current context, given the dearth of legal provisions pertaining to incidents of privacy breach.
The alleged party who had recorded the conversation had not received the consent of the other party to record these conversations, which is why most of these conversations are quite unacceptable to certain parties, have legal implications.
Without your consent, I record it, that is unethical. But right now, as much as I understand, it is not illegal. It does not break any law currently applicable in Sri Lanka. The conversations with public office holders or public figures, those are the ones that matter. But again, are these recordings authenticated? We can surmise that at least one of the parties to these conversations, the voice is somewhat authenticated, again pending the government analyst confirming it. But we don't know the voices of many of the others who are also in these recordings.
These third parties that are involved, their private lives are discussed and these are in public. So how do they manage this? What do they do?
There is very little redress available except civil defamation.
How long will that defamation case take?
It's tedious, time consuming, and most people don't pursue that option. So very little redress available legally.
So if not for that, we have nothing to do here in Sri Lanka. I mean, if that happens to you and I.
Yeah, because in our constitution, a number of human rights as recognized as fundamental rights, the right to privacy is not one of them. So the right to privacy is not recognized. There's a huge gap that we need to fill. Not just telephone conversations. Think of drones with auto recording, video recording, cameras roam around. Nobody can have a private moment in their garden. Little increasingly hard to detect cameras left in public places, in changing rooms, in toilets. All these suggest that it is very urgent that we first recognize the right to privacy of citizens and then legislate for adequate safeguards and protection of it.
Where we do not have laws, let's as a society think about what we can do, where we can fix this. Until we bring adequate laws like in other countries, neighboring India had a verdict on ensuring that right to privacy should be ensured. But in Sri Lanka, why can't we teach our society ethics?
Pending legislation that will make right to privacy a fundamental right and safeguards are introduced, until that happens, we can only rely on ethics and our own personal ethics. But I sometimes wonder, Indiveri, whether we as a society value privacy. Historically, as well as even today, we are a very gossipy society in general. Supreme Court of India ruled, and it was a landmark judgment, which recognized that all Indian citizens have the right to privacy. And it told the Indian government, don't spy on your citizens.
Here in Sri Lanka, what is the possibility of doing that? Yes, sometimes the state may need to tap phone conversations for requirements of the state.
Under the prevailing telecom law, it prohibits blanket surveillance of personal communications. However, in the same law, it says the minister in charge of the subject may sanction the interception of communications for investigating a criminal offense. When surveillance is initiated by the state without having a judge ordering it, there is no judicial supervision of it, as far as I know. And also in some countries, when somebody becomes under surveillance, that person has to be informed. We are now following your phone conversations. Be aware. There's no such requirement here. Governments in this country have placed under surveillance opposition politicians, public intellectuals, critical journalists, social activists, and so on to find out what they are up to. And that is a serious invasion of those individuals' right to privacy.
Now, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa expresses readiness to make a commitment to win the general election as a broader alliance together with all the other parties involved. He was speaking at a rally in Borelle.
අපිට බලබලා ඉන්න බෑ දැන්. අපි මේ තීරණය කරා. කල් මරන්න බෑ අපිට දැන්. ඔන්න වෙන ඡන්දේ තියෙන අපිට දැන්. ඔය වැඩට බෑලා ඉන්න දැන් අපි. අපිට දෙන්න බෑ. වැඩට බෑලා ඉන්න දැන්. අපි ආඩම්බර වෙන්න ඕන. අපි සමග බඩුවක් ඉන්නවා. ඒ බඩුව තමයි ශ්‍රී ලාංකික බඩුව. අපේ නායකතුමා. වෙන කවුරුත් නෑ. අපිට දිනන්නට පුළුවන්. අපි දිනනවා පුළුල් සන්ධානයක් තුල එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය ඇතුළු සෙසු සියලුම පක්ෂ එකතු කරගෙන මහමැතිවරණයේ ජයග්‍රහණය කරවීම උදෙසා ඉහළම උපරිම කැපකිරීම කරන්නට අපි ලෑස්ති කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේ කරනවා.
අලුත් මුහුණුවරකින් අපේ දේශපාලන ගමන අපි ඉදිරියට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. ඒ නිසා තමුන්නාන්සලාට කලබල වෙන්නට කිසිම හේතුවක් නැහැ. අපි හැදෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. අපි වෙන් වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. තනතුරු නිසා බලලෝභීත්වය නිසා අපි ජනතා විශ්වාසය අලුදු කරන්නෙත් නැහැ. දැන් මම දැක්කා අපේ ප්‍රතිවාදී කණ්ඩායමේ ප්‍රබල ඇමතිවරයෙක් කියනවා පොරොන්දු නේද ඒ කරන්නට 3න් 2 ඕනෙලු. මම පැහැදිලිවම කියන්න කැමති අපි දෙන්නම් සතුටට පොරොන්දු වුණු ඔයගොල්ලන්ට අවශ්‍ය 3න් 2. ලබන සතියේ දෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේ අප්‍රේල් මැයි වෙනකන් ඉන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. එකම එක අරමුණයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ අරමුණ තමයි ලබා නොදෙන පොරොන්දු මාලාවක් නැවත නැවතත් ජනතාවට ඉදිරිපත් කරලා ජනතාව රවට්ටගෙන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ 3න් 2 අරගෙන ස්වාධීන කොමිෂන් සභා ටික අහෝසි කරලා තනි බලයක් අතට ගන්න. මේක තමයි අරමුණ.
දැන් අපිට ඒකින් ඇමතිවරු මයිල්ල කියනවා මචං ඇතුලේ මාර කචල් එකක් තියෙන්නේ. මචං දැන් මේක වැඩේ ගොඩ දා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ සජිතුයි ගෝඨා එකතු වුණොත් විතරයි. අපිට ගෝඨත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අපි සජිත්ට මේ රට බාර දීලා අප්‍රේල් මාසෙන මැතිවරණයේදී රටේ ජනතාව නිවැරදි තීන්දුව දෙනවා.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ අර්බුදය විසඳන්න පුළුවන් කමක් නැහැ.
දැන් යම් තැනකට අපි ඇවිත් තිබෙනවා. නීතියානුකූලව, ව්‍යවස්ථානුකූලව ඒ සියල්ල විසඳගෙන අපි ඉදිරියට යන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
නිසා අපි විශ්වාස කරන ඉදිරියේදී මේ නායකත්ව අර්බුදය ලබන සතිය ඊළඟ සතිය වෙනකොට අවසන් විය යුතු වෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේක දිගට අරන් යනවායි කියලා කියන්නේ මට සැකයක් ඇති වෙනවා. යම් කිසි ආණ්ඩුවේ කොන්ත්‍රාත්කරුවන් විසින් මෙහෙවන වැඩපිළිවෙලක් මේ දෙපාර්ශ්වයට දෙනවද කියන එක පිළිබඳවත් මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා.
Now, a commission will be appointed to probe as to why students forsake their university education and then present an unbiased report to the government so that relief could be granted to the students. Minister Bandula Gunawardena made these comments when speaking at a media briefing that was held at the Department of Government Information today.
ජාතික විශ්වවිද්‍යාල පද්ධතිය සහ විද්‍යාපීඨ තුල නවක වදය කරන කොටගෙන 2018 වර්ෂයේදී සිසුන් 2000කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක් විශ්වවිද්‍යාල අධ්‍යාපනය අතර දමා තිබෙන බව. ජාතියක් වශයෙන් ලැජ්ජ විය යුතුයි. රටක් වශයෙන් කනගාටුවට පත් විය යුතුයි. ඒ නිසා උසස් අධ්‍යාපන අමාත්‍යවරයා වශයෙන් මා වෙත පැවරලා තියෙන බලතල ප්‍රකාරව මම විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ප්‍රතිපාදන කොමිසමේ වෙතට ලිඛිතව ඊයේ දිනේදී දැනුම් දීලා තියෙනවා. නවකවද වින්දිතයන්ට සහන සැලසීමේ කමිටුවක් ලබන සතිය තුලදී පත් කරලා ඒ සහන සැලසීමේ කමිටුව විසින් සත්‍ය වශයෙන්ම නවකවදයේ නිසා විශ්වවිද්‍යාල අධ්‍යාපනය අතෑරියා නම් ඒ අතහරින්ට හේතුභූත වෙච්ච කරුණු පිළිබඳ අපක්ෂපාතී සාධාරණ විනිවිදපේන පරීක්ෂණයක් කරලා නිර්දේශ ඇතුළත් වාර්තාවක් මට දින 90ක් තුලදී මාස 3ක් තුලදී සපයන්ට කියන.
ඒ කොපමණ කාලයකටද අවුරුදු කාල සීමාවක් තියෙන අවුරුදු 5ද 2ද 3ද
අපි 2015 16 17 18 19 කියන මේ වර්ෂ පහටම සාහනයක් දෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. විශ්වවිද්‍යාල පනත අනුව විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ප්‍රතිපාදන කොමිසමේ නියමය අනුව එකවරක් විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයට තේරිලා ඇතුල් වෙන්න බැරි වුණොත් නැවත කිසි දවසක මොනම හේතුවක් නිසාවත් විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයකට ඇතුල් වෙන්න බෑ රජයේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයකට. එතකොට දැන් අපි මේ කරන්න හදන්නේ ඒ සඳහා අලුත් ප්‍රවේශයක් සොයාගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා වගකිව යුතු කමිටුවකට දීලා කමිටු වාර්තාව අනුව වාර්තාව කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ඉදිරිපත් කළා. කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ තීරණය අනුව පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඉදිරිපත් කළා. නීතිමය අනුමැතියක් යටතේ ඕනේ ඇතුල් කරන්න.
Now, army personnel manning a roadblock at Neriakulam along the Vaunia Manor Road have found 51 gelignite sticks last evening when they searched a bus. The discovered explosives weigh around 6.8 kilograms. The army said that both the driver and the conductor of the bus were taken into custody and the duo was later handed over to the Cheddikulam police station for further investigations. Now, in the meantime, Sri Lankans are urged to take precautions to prevent the contraction of what is dubbed the coronavirus in face of a new outbreak in China. The Minister of Women, Child Affairs, Social Security, Health and Indigenous Medicine, however, says that travel restrictions are not necessary at this stage. However, the experience of the deadly severity of the 2003 outbreak has made the world take note of the latest situation. The Ministry of Health assures that required measures have been taken in order to prevent carriers of the disease from entering the country from the Bandaranaike International Airport, despite Sri Lanka's increased exposure to the threat due to the Chinese populace within the country.
An epidemic of coronaviruses which broke out in 2003, spreading as far as 26 countries, claimed the lives of 774 people. The virus, which originated in China, has yet again resurfaced, and this time the outbreak was reported from the city of Wuhan of China. Though it is unclear that the virus transmits from human to human, given the considerable presence of Chinese nationals in Sri Lanka, especially in Colombo, associated with various development projects and the flocking tourists, concerns are very much real. Taking all this into consideration, the Sri Lankan health authorities urge people to be cautious. Releasing a statement, the Ministry of Women and Child Affairs, Social Security, Health and Indigenous Medicine says that the medical unit of the Bandaranaike International Airport has been informed to take necessary actions if met with people who has contacted the virus. It urges people to take precautionary measures which include the use of handkerchiefs when coughing and sneezing, frequently washing hands with soap. It also advises people to avoid crowded areas, especially for children and expectant mothers. The statement, however, states that travel restrictions at this stage are unnecessary, as deemed by the World Health Organization. In the meantime, the WHO said that given the outbreak is still at its early stages, treatment is done on a symptom basis.
There's also the possibility of super spreading events. The global community is very familiar with what has happened with SARS in the past, and this is something that is on our radar, that is possible, and what we need to prepare ourselves for. We need to know what disease this infection causes, and how to care for the people that are infected. We need to better understand the modes of transmission. I mentioned the zoonotic transmission, so how are people getting infected from a potential animal source? And is there any evidence of human-to-human transmission? From the information that we have, it is possible that there is limited human-to-human transmission, potentially among families, but it's very clear right now that we have no sustained human-to-human transmission. So far with the current virus, we have limited human-to-human transmission, but what we are preparing for is the possibility that there could be. And what we have put out is guidance around infection prevention and control. Primarily, it's ensuring that hospitals, all hospitals globally, regardless of this virus or not, apply standard precautions and make sure that those standard precautions are firmly in place. So far, we've had 7 individuals with severe disease and 1 fatality. And so it's still early days. We don't have a clear view of the clinical picture, but in terms of what we know about the severity, we need to wait to find out more about this. Treatment right now is based on their symptoms. There's no specific treatment that's available for a novel coronavirus. However, there's a lot of work that's been done on looking at treatment for MERS coronavirus. So there are some treatments that are available that could be considered here.
Our attempts to contact responsible persons of the Ministry of Health to gain better understanding of the situation meanwhile proved futile.
We'll be back with more news after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the central bank's Purchasing Managers Index for the manufacturing sector showed some expansion, albeit at a slower pace, in December 2019 to an index value of 54.3. However, the services index reached a near 2-year high, attributed to strong expansion in new businesses and business activity in December last year due to seasonal movement, political stability and measures taken by the government to improve economic activity. The central bank's manufacturing sector Purchasing Managers Index report indicates a slow expansion for December 2019, recording an index value of 54.3. This slowdown was attributed to dips in new orders, production and stock of purchases. The report also highlighted an expansion in all sub-indices, also at a slower pace than expected compared to a month earlier, with new orders and production also showing marginal expansion owing to a slowdown in textile and wearing apparel manufacturing. A significant dip in employment was also experienced, particularly in the wearing apparel sector, with potential employees attracted to seasonal jobs for better remuneration, which partly impacted the production slowdown. However, stock of purchases expanded at a higher rate due to stock accumulation in the month under review in anticipation of future requirements, supply disruptions, and with Chinese holidays coming up. The services PMI reached a near 24-month high to 60.2 index points for the month, supported by expansion in new businesses and business activity attributed to seasonal movement and political stability following the presidential elections and the resultant measures taken by the new government to improve economic activity. Business activities in wholesale and retail trade and accommodation, food and beverage subsectors posted a strong growth due to the festive season and peak season of tourism. Transportation of goods, meanwhile, recorded a growth with increased transshipment volumes, while other personal services, such as leisure activities, also improved with the holiday season. Expectations for activity increased, yet at a slower pace compared to the previous month, with respondents expecting a higher growth in their business underpinned by new tax revisions. Despite the strong growth in business activities, the rate of job creation slowed in many sectors in December 2019 due to delays in filling vacant positions. Now, the International Energy Agency is of the view that a risk to oil supply disruptions from around the world has diminished, while rising non-OPEC production provides a solid base from which to react to any escalation in geopolitical tension. In its January oil market report, IEA said that there is plenty of oil sloshing around, despite the US and Iran nearly going to war. The report said, quote, "We cannot know how the geopolitical situation will play out over time, but for now, the risk of a major threat to oil supplies appear to have receded." The Paris-based agency said oil inventories held in OPEC countries is 9 million barrels above the 5-year average, and there are also plenty of strategic stockpiles to call upon in the event of an outage. There is more news on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said that American clowns pretended to support Iranian protesters were waiting to stab them in the chest with a poisoned dagger. He gave a sharp response to US President Donald Trump's tweets in Farsi and English to support recent protests across the country after the accidental downing of Ukrainian International Airlines Flight 752. In his first Friday prayer sermon in 8 years, Khamenei called for national unity and said Iran's enemies, a term usually used to refer to the United States and its allies, had tried to use the downing of the airliner to shift attention from the killing of commander of Quds Force Qasem Soleimani. Khamenei described the crash as a tragedy and called for steps to ensure it would not happen again. Iran's Supreme Leader also told thousands of worshippers that the European states cannot be trusted after Britain, France and Germany triggered a formal dispute mechanism in the agreement, which could lead to UN sanctions being reimposed. Khamenei went on to say that the US killing of Qasem Soleimani showed Washington's terrorist nature, adding that the Quds Force should not be seen just as a government organization, but as a humanitarian organization with great and high aspirations of human value. The Supreme Leader added that Iran's missile strikes on US targets in Iraq showed it had divine support in delivering a slap on the face to a world power. Now, heavy rains in fire-ravaged eastern Australia have brought welcome relief for firefighters. But this sparked flash floods that have leaked to cause further misery for Australians in states already suffering from the devastating bushfires. As heavy rains and thunderstorms have lashed parts of Australia's east coast, now forecasters predict more rain over the next few days, warning a new threat of flash floods in some areas. Parts of Queensland recorded triple the monthly rainfall levels overnight. Major highways were closed in Queensland and power cuts were reported in parts of New South Wales as a result of the bad weather. Despite the heavy rain, authorities are still battling nearly 100 blazes, which are a part of a bushfire crisis. Fire officials have said that the rain was helping to tackle some of the blazes, but it has also led to difficulties in saving the native animals. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.